Hey, Jordi, we're starting back here today. You guys, the games against Boston last year were very entertaining, close games, tough games. What is the specific test that they provide your group when you play a group like this?
Yeah, I think it's a new year on both ends, I think, but very well coached team, very competitive. Different difference makers on that team, and they still have that identity of offensively shooting the ball, shooting the three well, and shooting a lot of them. So we have to be ready to contest those. Some guys that will have to take the one-on-one challenge because they're very good at it. And then defensively, very aggressive, very physical, guys with experience, and that's what we're going to have to be clean with the ball and understand what they're trying to do and how they do it, which they're very good at it. So, good challenge for us where we are. Good to play a good team, and that's a challenge for us to get better.
Jordi, you always say getting 1% better. Just in what ways do you want to see your team do that here tonight, especially coming off of a game against the Wizards where defensively they were able to show that growth?
Yeah, it's continued the trend, and we go from Toronto to Orlando to Washington, right? And rebounding is important. Getting back in transition is important. These guys do a good job too, and so on. Like with our ball pressure, physicality, how we coverage, and how we communicate our coverages, and then finish with multiple effort. And I think that we were better with our verticalities, protecting the rim against Washington. We got to keep making winning plays because those are things that we track, and that's very important. And then offensively, I'd like more pace, especially if we can control the rebound or be better at defensive rebounding. You give yourself a chance to run, right? And we are the worst in the league right now, and we just got to take positive steps. But I like the way we played in the half court and the pace because we touched the paint. It was our highest of the season, and then you can see in the results. So very happy on how the game went last against Washington, but that's in the past now, and got to move on to the next one. So showing, like you said, a 1% better is very important.
Jordi, how familiar are you with Ugo Gonzalez coming out of Spain, and what's your impression of him as a young player in this league?
Very good player. He didn't have the minutes that, as a fan, that we expected with his team with Real Madrid, but we all knew that with the Spanish national team, all the unders, he was a difference maker. Obviously there's a reason why he's in the NBA. He belongs to this level, size, skill set. So very excited to watch him.
As a head coach in this league, there's been a kind of move away from mid-range jump shots and kind of more towards threes and shots closer to the basket. How, as a coach, do you think about the role that the mid-range jump shot might have in getting guys in rhythm or things like that? Is that something that you consider, and how, when you're preparing to play against teams and players like Jaylen Brown, who have kind of made that a big part of their game, how do you kind of prepare for that?
Yeah, I don't think a mid-range is a bad shot. And I always ask the guys, if the shot goes in, it's always a good shot. So starting right there, and it's very different to take a mid-range shot, to your point, in rhythm, and there's guys that are very good at it. And if you can shoot, obviously at 2, it's got to be a little over 50%. But if you can do a 50%, which you go to 1 point per possession, and you can prove it in the long run, then it's a good shot for you, right? Going back to Nikola Jokic, that I was very lucky to work with, all those in-between shots, he was at some point at 60-some%, and you would say for him it was a really good shot, but for others it's a difficult shot. So at the end of the day, what you want to teach the guys is how you can be efficient. I'm okay with a pull-up and rhythm with no contest or space, but what I'm not okay is with a dribble body contest shot. And that's for our guys that have played at a good level, they understand that. So we got to try to find efficiency as a group and efficiency each and every player. So I think that's the beauty of having all the resources we have right now.
With MPJ's passing, obviously setting a career high Friday with 7 assists, and then he does it again on Sunday. Is there something, are you guys putting him in different positions to maybe for him to make these plays? Is this something philosophical you're talking about with him, or is he just maybe a matter of getting more comfortable?
I think that the effort that he's put into, obviously just going back to his usage has been different than it's been in the past, right? Not better, no worse, different situation and context. And when you have to do it over and over, what you find out is that you got the best defenders on you. And it's really hard to just shoot over people all the time. Right now, what he's done well is when he cannot get the ball, he's done a good job finishing his cuts because he's a big target and creates a lot of attention. And if they don't help, you guys have seen it, we can throw it over the top, he can shoot a layup. But if they pull in, then just his teammates are open, which he's doing good, something selfless for the group. And then the other one is the early pass. You know, he catches the ball. Everybody shows him a crowd. A lot of times they're going to need more than one guy to guard him. And then he makes that early pass. And I used to work with Chris Finch. He always said, early pass, easy pass. And, you know, that's what Mike has done in the last 2 games. And to answer your question, that's when you see that his playmaking is taking the next step. Now the question is, can you do it again? Can you do it better? And, you know, sustain that. So I know he can do it. He's done a good job just understanding that. And the numbers are telling us that, you know, right now he's more than capable.
Coach, what have you seen from Neemias Queta and his development now being a starting center with the Celtics?
I mean, sky is the limit for him. Just if you know him as a person and how he works and handles himself. I was very lucky to work with him in Sacramento, and you know, you could tell that, you know, like he started playing basketball a little older, right? I think he started playing soccer like, you know, a lot of us that come from countries that, you know, soccer is the #1 sport. But once he picked up basketball, you could tell that he had, you know, all this, the skill set and the talent to be a really good defender, to be a really good teammate, to get his teammates opens, all the screens, all the rolls, but always his willingness to learn and be better, and he cares. And, you know, like that's why I think it made him special. It doesn't always work right away for you where you are, but you could tell that always took the proper steps. And he was in the G League. I think he was Defensive Player of the Year. He was a winning team. He helped us in the NBA team. Then he found a place with Boston. And, you know, he's had a tremendous impact in a team that is a winning team, and I think he's part of it. So, you know, I really like the person, and I think he's going to keep growing.
This year we've seen Nick really thrive offensively in a different role than he played, especially early in his career. You know, we saw some of this last year. I guess as a coach, how do you know or anticipate that he might thrive or is going to thrive doing something a little different? I know it was before you got here, you know, that first 4 or 5 years of his career. So do you go back and watch that tape? Do you just kind of have, I guess, blind faith? What goes into that?
It's a good question. I think that I always say the same thing is you have to get to know the player, and you can watch all the film in the world, but then you have to get to work with him. And I think Nick, in the past, he was used to set a lot of screens, and right now he's got the ball in his hands, plus he sets screens. And he was not as efficient last year. He grew a little bit, and he started to show you know, that he could play that way. But right now, he really had a great summer. He put all the work in. And now we're seeing that efficiency offensively, and then his playmaking, it's gotten like, you know, it's taken the next step, right? And I think he can still be better. So, you know, it's not something that I decided just because. Sometimes it's like you go through the process to getting to know him, to give him the ball in certain spots, see if he can do it. And then he's got to show you, right? And he's done a great job showing us what he's able to do. And you got to give him a lot of credit for that.
With MPJ coming in here and being a lead offensive guy for the first time, there were some expectations for the expanded role that would entail more ISO, more pick and roll, some of that stuff. And yet we're seeing him be really successful, just being really efficient off the ball and not too much dribbling, which is something you've talked about. So just what have you seen from him in regard to being willing to accept that role and just kind of be efficient in that process and not lean into, you know, too much of that other stuff?
Yeah, I don't want to put him in a box. But at the same time, to your point, when he's taking more than 2-3 dribbles, if it's not one dribble to the rim, he gets himself in trouble. Again, he's got all these really good defenders, and they get underneath him, as you know, as a tall player. And he's been very, very, very efficient when, you know, he's moving and he can shoot over, and then he cuts, and then he sees the crowd, and he plays with the pass instead of with the dribble, because we're all faster when we play with the pass. So once again, giving him all the credit in the world. Now, continue to do this. It's going to take more effort because teams are going to scout and they're going to, try different things against you. So whatever they try against, we're going to try to help him, but it's going to be on him to figure it out. So, like right now, he's in a good space, doing what he's doing, and then it's my job to put him in certain different situations so we can see if he can do it efficiently.